All right, so again, what I have for you all today is going to be my list of top 5 closest clones for the month of February. Now, obviously, this video, you all will be watching this in the month of March. I did kind of have to wait until like late February when I actually got some of the fragrances in this list. And I planned on having some of these fragrances in the list before even making the video. So definitely, you all will be seeing this, a few days into March. But these are going to be for the month of February pretty much. So just to get started with the list, the first fragrance on the list is going to be Alexandria Fragrances Orchestra. All right. So Orchestra, this is going to be their take on Louis Vuitton's Symphony. And I would say this comes about 90% closer so to Louis Vuitton's Symphony. If you're not really familiar with it, pretty much what I get from Louis Vuitton's Symphony is just a bunch of different citruses. So you get like grapefruit, mandarin orange, bergamot, and then you get some ginger in there as well. Now, mandarin orange isn't really listed as like an official note, at least not on Fragrantica for the fragrance, but I do get mandarin from this fragrance. And I would say like one fragrance that I would sort of compare this to, but this doesn't, it's not like a clone of that fragrance or it doesn't smell exactly like it. But I would say if you like the way that Roja Elysium smells, then you'll probably, like this fragrance as well. I would say it's kind of like in that same sort of family of scents. This one I would say is definitely going to be a lot more on the unisex side, whereas Elysium, to me, it definitely leans a little bit more masculine. But this one is a really amazing fragrance from Alexandria Fragrances. It's actually a little bit stronger in terms of the projection than what the original from Louis Vuitton is. So I would say definitely if you like really sort of fresh, citrusy, summertime types of scents that actually last a pretty decent time, then definitely check this one out. This is Orchestra from Alexandria. All right, so the next one on the list, this is Al Wataniya's Kayaan Classic. So this is their take on Dior Homme Intense. And this fragrance, man, it is, I would say definitely at least about 90% close as well to Dior Homme Intense. Dior Homme Intense, at least so far with this bottle, I would say is definitely stronger than what this fragrance is. This is, I would say, a lighter sort of take on the scent profile, but it does still, for the most part, smell the same. In the opening, I would say this one comes off as being a little bit more greener. But I would say probably after like the first maybe 10-15 minutes or so, the two fragrances, they start to smell, at least I would say about 90% close to each other for the most part. So, I mean, if you are someone that can't necessarily afford Dior Homme Intense, or maybe for whatever reason, wherever you're at, you can't find that fragrance, then I would say if you can get your hands on this one, this is definitely a really nice scent. It definitely, in my opinion, it captures that sort of, powdery lipstick, sort of iris that you get from Dior Homme Intense. And just, I mean, overall, I do think that this comes pretty close to that scent profile. Like I said, it's just a little bit lighter than what the original is. Now, I don't know if, as this fragrance sort of sits and ages, if, it'll start to improve and become a little bit closer in strength to the original from Dior. But at least for right now, I would say it smells almost, about the same as what Dior Homme Intense does, just, with a little bit less strength, I would say. So again, definitely check this one out if you're a fan of Dior Homme Intense. Again, this is Al Wataniya's Kayaan Classic. All right, so the next fragrance on the list, this is going to be from Fragrance World, and this is their take on YSL Y EDT. And this is F Eau de Parfum from Fragrance World. So this fragrance is, I would say, at least over 95% close pretty much to the original from YSL. Really, the only difference that you're going to get with this fragrance is in the opening. The opening of this one is definitely a lot more harsh than what you get from the original YSL. You get more of sort of like a synthetic alcohol blast for, I would say, probably like the first minute to 3 minutes or so. But then once the fragrance starts to kind of dry down and settle down, at that point, the two fragrances are pretty much identical for the most part. And this does give you pretty decent performances as well. I would say at least about, 7+ hours of performance for the most part. So if you're someone that is, really in love with YSL EDT, that really sort of fresh, citrusy, aldehydic, sort of summer scent, then I would say definitely check this one out if you're looking to maybe get another bottle of that, but you don't necessarily want to pay retail for the fragrance. This goes for, I believe, about $30 or so at vanityfragrance.com. And this is, again, for a 100 ml bottle. So I would say with how close this comes to the original, you really can't beat that. And again, this is going to be F Eau de Parfum from Fragrance World. All right, and so the newest fragrance that I have is also on this list, and this is going to be from Grandeur Elite. This is Grandeur Elite's Avenue London. All right, so this is their take on Greenwich Village from Bond Number 9. And this actually, in my opinion, the way that this actually opens up slightly smoother than what the Bond Number 9 does. Or at least I guess I could say my nose perceives it to be smoother, and I actually prefer it over the opening of the Bond Number 9. Now, I would say this is going to be about like 90% close to the Bond Number 9. The main difference that I feel like you're going to get with this fragrance when compared to Greenwich Village is the quality of like the jasmine is not as up to par as what you get in, Greenwich Village. Now, this is definitely still going to be better than the Emperor Perfumes version of Greenwich Village. I'm drawing a blank on the name of that fragrance, but I've also done a review on that one on this channel as well. And the way that fragrance opens, the Emperor Perfumes version, the opening of that one is absolutely terrible, and it doesn't smell anything like Greenwich Village at all. And it kind of lasts, I would say, for probably like the first 20 to 30 minutes or so. And then after that, then that's when that fragrance definitely starts to smell a lot more like, Greenwich Village. But in terms of this fragrance, I feel like it smells pretty close to Greenwich Village right off of the opening spray. Like I said, it does come off as being slightly smoother, at least in the opening. I would also say there's a slight, I would say more sort of like sweeter take that this fragrance has. And then again, the jasmine is also not as high quality, but overall, like I said, I would give this one at least like 90% close to Greenwich Village. So if you're looking for like a good alternative to that fragrance and you're not wanting to pay those higher Bond Number 9 prices, then I would say this is definitely a great choice for you in terms of, kind of recreating that scent profile. So definitely check this one out. Again, this is Avenue London from Grandeur Elite. All right, and then the last fragrance on this list is going to be from Fragrance World, and this is their take on Invictus Legend, and this is Invicto Legend. All right, so this fragrance, this was sent to me for free from Vanity Fragrance, but this was one of the, I would say, my favorite fragrances out of that sort of haul that I was sent. This is just a really nice sort of aquatic style fragrance that has, I would say, enough depth and body to it to where you could really kind of wear this, I would say, probably all year round for the most part. The longevity on it isn't, that great, I would say. I probably get like around, I would say, 6 to 6.5 hours max or so out of this fragrance, at least right now. That may improve over time as this kind of sits. But as of right now, I feel like the longevity on this one is pretty average. But in terms of, how close it is to the original, I would say this is at least about 90% close. And again, this smells really amazing. Definitely a scent profile that, I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't really get, familiar with when the fragrance or the original fragrance first came out. But I'm glad that I was at least able to, experience the fragrance through this one here. So definitely I would say if you're a fan of Invictus Legend, check this one out for sure. I believe this one goes for like around $30, $35, something like that from Bandier Fragrance. So again, check this one out. Again, this is Invicto Legend from Fragrance World. All right, so that is the video, man. That's my top 5 closest clones of the month of February. So definitely let me know in the comments, have you all actually smelled any of these fragrances? And if so, how close do you think that these actually come to the originals? All right, so let me know in the comments. Also, to anyone that's brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And to anyone watching, leave a like and a comment. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see y'all in the next video.